anyway, I got it fixed. I put a couple of stick pins. After the Olive Oatman massacre, what occurred was some of the most famous writing in American history, in which she said we were marched up with bloody feet. Okay, the massacre occurred here, and that is what it was. And they had them take off their bonnets and stuff, and they had them they threw off their shoes right here, exactly right there. Okay, they then went north. But I will immediately take off my shoes and walk barefooted from there, all the way across to the first ravine, which is here. I know it's hard to believe. You picture yourself walking along cactuses and bloody feet. Never occurred. Okay, they did the first camp here. As soon as they got up out of view, they made a fire and cooked some stuff because they were then safe. But they were still looking down upon the massacre area. But that's where they did the first camp. Okay. Then they went up to the top. They went up to the top of the saddle here, and then spent the night. Actually, a long time of like 15 hours that's missing from what Olive Oatman says. Okay, and then they dropped down. Now at this point, no way, they were not barefooted. Now Olive Oatman says they fashioned his moccasins here. I believe it to be not true. They could not make it down from here to here and down to here in bare feet. Cannot be done. I've been there. Cannot be done. I just think, not necessarily a lie, but I believe the moccasins were fashioned up on the top of the saddle. Okay, so they go down to this area here where they dressed out the cattle. That's known. The other Indians came up with the cattle, and they were then pretty safe. Now, at dusk, almost 24 hours later, at dusk, they race across. Okay, they race across over to here to the famous Snug Ravine, where Olive said, it was the worst day of my life. Actually, it wasn't. They went up to the Snug Ravine and slept, but when she got up, she said it was the worst day of my life. Well, you know, that's the way it is. It wasn't that far. So they get up and they go along, and the other Indians, which weren't Comanches, they were certainly other Western Yavapai, shoot the arrow at her, which did occur. For a fact, that did occur. Okay, so then they work back down, and now they're getting ready to beeline it up to the camp. They're getting ready to beeline it up to the camp. And so then they did, and they slept in here. They slept in here. It's documented. That's what they did. They just simply slept in a wash in the gravel. Okay, then they finish beelining up to the first camp of captivity. Okay, now this area here is where Olive said we first encountered the Indians in half-buried huts in the ground. No such thing took place. Never happened. She only put that years later. It's not possible that that took place there. Along this wash, they did encounter the first Indians, yes, but they were not in huts half underground. It never happened. Okay, so that's where they burned them with hot sticks and stuff like that, and they stood them on the pile of stuff and did this, that, the other thing. Okay, then they hung out and went up. The next day, they walked up to the first camp captivity where the chief was, up here. And there it is. There it is. Yeah, that's why he was there. That's why he was chief. He had the prime area. These guys down here where they first encountered them, the Indians on the fringes were kind of on the low part of the totem pole. The reason the chief was up here at the first captivity was for very good reason. And here's the Shady Rest, and that is where Olive Oatman's writings, very important in American history, that she had to sit and listen to them bragging about their stuff when they were young and stuff like that. All that took place right here, exactly right there. This is the first captivity. There is no camp like here where they were sitting in huts. Never happened. Everything was in the gravel. Everything was in the gravel. Now, where is the seep spring? The seep spring is just simply up above. You go up above, and now there's a check dam there. And the seep spring, where Olive said Marianne couldn't make it up there with me, is just simply up above. Simply up above. And so, right here, let me show you. The pools of water that Olive Oatman and Marianne drew water from are right here. They're right there. They're right there. There is no reason for no Indians to be way up on the top of mountains away from the water. But that's it. The gurgling spring that she said, one of them was a gurgling spring, and then later we went up to the seep spring. These dried up. That's why they went up to the seep spring, which was in the sand. Right up here. Right up here. Anyway, there you go. There's more Olive Oatman stuff.